Hey, this is Bill DeWeese with LongStrangeJourney. Happy Labor Day weekend. I am out here on Lake Tarpon and I want to do an intro for a project. I'm actually doing a maintenance run. I brought some fishing poles and we'll chase some bass, but recently I had an increasingly worsening problem that I finally took care of via DIY project, and I thought that I would share because this might be helpful for others who have a Motorguide trolling motor. As you know, Motorguide is a good little trolling motor, actually. This has served me well for 7 years now. This is the Xi3 GPS, pinpoint GPS gateway. Super compact, really nice and small for what it can give you. But they are discontinued. They've exited the business. So they've always been hard to find service centers, but it's especially difficult now, right? So what happened to me a couple of months ago, back around June, is I put the thing into spot lock and it just sort of groaned. It didn't move like it's doing now. It just sort of groaned and made little groaning noises. And I would just reach up and grab it by the ponytail and give it a wiggle and it would go. So I knew things were going to go downhill soon, but I fished it out for the longest. Well, the last time I had gone out, I was in deep trouble. It would not move manually. It was just impacting the micro movements that are done to keep the boat in a spot lock position, but I couldn't move left or right. It would just make noises but not move anything. So bottom line, after 6 years, this transmission was shot. So what I did is I went on to Trolling Motor Parts and .com and got a transmission, and I'm going to go through the process of how I replace that transmission. It's actually the unique and cool thing about trolling motors, especially these GPS spot lock trolling motors, is they are cheaper. They're more expensive than the sum of their parts. So bottom line, that thing's like, to replace that whole trolling motor is about $3,500, and that would be something like the Minn Kota Terrova advanced GPS is about $3,500. So that's a lot of money. I want to get the most out of it. I have a relatively new lower unit. The thing works fine. The transmission went out. The transmission's $140. So it's actually much cheaper to fix this than it is to buy a new one, and then I'll get another year or more out of it because it's showing its age, but it works beautifully. So as long as it's working, I'm happy to keep it working on a more economical basis than replacement. So what comes from this video is how I went through the process of replacing it. So if you like this video, if you find it helpful, give it a like, give it the old thumbs up, show us some love, as well as the channel itself. Every now and then I do DIYs if this is something that you like to see more of. They're usually involving the Motorguide, the Suzuki, the Lowrance, and things like that. But hopefully this helps somebody who has something similar to this take place on their trolling motor. Okay, so let's rehearse the takedown. So again, we've removed the head unit off the shaft and disconnected the wires that go down the shaft. Keep them obviously at the top of the shaft so you don't lose them. And we've popped the head unit off and slid the shaft out of the transmission. Okay, the transmission has a locking rod, so if you press the button, if you press your foot pedal to release, this comes forward, it runs on a pin. That pin is running across. It has, right now, the electrical cord runs out along here. It runs under, the electrical cord runs out along here. It's got a little wire clamp that screws into place. It comes under this plastic and then comes underneath that hole and plugs into the wires that drive the transmission. They're keyed. One's a female, one's a male, so you can't get them wrong. And you have to take the 4 screws that hold the control board out so you can lift it and run the wiring out and run the wiring back in with the new one. So you're going to be able to go in and get your wire to come along here. You'll see it when you take it apart, and it goes under this plastic piece shoots across underneath there, comes through and connects to the terminals with bullet connections. So that's all good. You're going to want to take out this key. There's a half moon key on the inside of that shaft. I just took a flat blade screwdriver down there and popped it, and it came right out. And then your shaft moves freely. Just tap it right out of the way, and you can pull out your transmission. And that will allow you to remove your old transmission. Again, this is kind of fairly modular and works really well in that regard. And then when you put the new unit in place, you're just basically going to reverse that procedure and then run it along the wire, bring it under, bring it through, and hit it with the bullet connections. And when I get done, I'll seal that up with some, seal the bullet outer edge, I'll put some dielectric grease just to keep water out and keep it clean. And that's about it for the disassembly. Then the whole thing goes back together again, run the shaft up through. But my boat, I love where my trolling motor is mounted on my boat. It's right off the bow on a slight angle, and it runs the head of the shaft and the head unit right along the curvature of my bow along the port side. But that perfect location means that it conflicts for a dry deployment on the boat, on the trailer. It conflicts with the winch. So I will not be able to check the transmission until I'm on the water, except I've got these head unit completely isolated with electrical tape. So I will set this on there without the shaft, fire it up, and test the rotate and GPS lock, and basically test the transmission without needing to put the shaft in and do the wiring, and we'll be good to go. All right, so this is the system without the trolling motor transmission in place. This one thing that's nice about this, I'm sure it's with all trolling motors, but it's certainly true with the Motorguide, is everything is modular, super easy to repair, and the cost of the individual parts is much cheaper than the cost of a new unit. So it gives you a great opportunity to do a little DIY stuff and keep your cost under control and get the most life out of something that costs you somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000. We give it a little bit of a lift and a push, and it pops through the other side. And what you're looking for, I'm not sure if you can see it down here in the corner, in the far right corner where that goes through, is you're looking for that little gap. And that gap, there it is, that gap is where the half moon key is going to go. So we're going to lay that half moon key down on there. And we're going to take our flat blade screwdriver and pop it. And now we've got our unit good to go, locked into place. All right, so we are locked into place. Everything is groovy. All right, so we are now officially locked in. We are now officially locked into place. So I'm working on an old shop table, and I don't really have good lighting. I don't want to bring my desk setup down here for such a quick and dirty job, quick and fast job. All right, so we're good to go. Now we just need to run our wiring per normal through here, underneath there, plug it in, bickety bam, there you are. All right, there we are. Like they said in the old Chilton's manual that I had in high school for my 1980 Chevette, reverse disassembly procedure. And that's exactly what we did. I took a few pictures along the way so I know everything is good. I think I have it set up now. Before I put this in, because this is largely cosmetic, I'm going to take it out to the boat and hook it up and see how my transmission transmits. All right, so we're situated on the boat. Florida's about to do its Florida thing. So we got no time to mess around. That's why we're going to trial this thing in its not so finalized state. I'll get to that indoors. What we want to hear is that. That's awesome sound right there. All right, we're good to go. Just in time for the rain. It's really, Florida's doing its Florida thing. All right, so spot lock. Make adjustments. Beautiful. All right, let's get inside, finish that beer, and get out of the rain. All right, so we got back inside just as the bottom fell out of the sky. So we're gonna wipe things down, put it all back together, put that electronic module in. This is the GPS lower antenna, or the RF antenna for the remote, one of the two. Sharpie marker tick marks before I disassembled it, so I would know exactly how it's supposed to go back. It's kind of sort of obvious, but you know, just in case I was asleep at the wheel, I've got some training wheels on here. So we're going to assemble this and we're good to go. All right. So we've got our head unit buttoned up, putting the finishing touches on it. Shrinky dink and everything, and we're gonna be off to the races. Alrighty then, everybody's fat, dumb, and happy, and that's how I changed out the transmission on the Motorguide. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Oh, there we go. I felt that hit. He's a smallie. Nice small bass. Small largemouth, not a smallie, like a small bassmouth. A good old-fashioned Florida bass.